Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, beautiful people. How are you all doing today?
All good. You?
Glad to know, sir. All good. Perfect. Welcome to one more session of Smart Leads Office Hours. My name is Akash, and I'm your customer success manager here at Smart Lead. Usually, we have a drill where we'd ask you all to drop on the comments where you're from, the temperature currently at your place, and one last information if you're an agency, freelancer, or a SaaS company. Drop it in the comments. We'd love to know, post which we'll jump straight into the session. And for information, the chat option is right in the center. Drop it, people. UK, 20-degree, agency using instantly. I hope not for long, Alex. Florida, 73. California, 65. SaaS, Peter's SaaS company.
Nice.
Beautiful. Keep it coming. New Jersey, agent. India,
Jersey.
SaaS, Morocco. It's a global audience, Shira.
Yes, New Jersey. I lived in Teaneck, New Jersey for 11 years.
You all heard that? Pakistan, 34-degree. Heritage.
Jersey City.
Texas, India, St. Louis. Perfect. Keep it coming, guys. Keep it coming. And today we have Shira, who is the CEO of SmartReach AI. And this is the second time with us. And thanks, Shira. Thank you so much for that. And today, what we're going to talk about is, as you all know, intent-driven lead generation matters in 2025, right? And Shira is going to help us understand how to use real buyer intent signals for your cold emailing to get the best out of your cold emailing experience. And Shira, I hand it over to you, a quick round of introduction. But before I do that, one quick call out for the Smart Lead community, because before we go ahead, I just wanted to quickly call this out. A quick spotlight moment for the community, because as you all know, everything is about you guys. We've been seeing some really amazing videos rolling lately, and now it's your turn. We, as a team, have launched something called the Smart Lead Showcase series. So it's basically a new way for a community to come together. You can go ahead, share what's working right now, and help each other grow faster and smarter, because as you all know, that's what we do in the community. All you have to do is we'll be sharing a link on the chat. Use that, record a video, tell us what's working well for you lately with SmartLead in a video. It could be a recent win you're really proud of. It could be a smart workflow that's saving you hours, or even a cold email tactic that's been crushing it lately. Whatever it is, we'd want to hear it, and we'd also want to feature it. So you can submit your video anytime. We've shared the link on the chat. So let's take this moment, lift each other up, share the good stuff, and build a community that learns and wins together. Thank you so much, Shira. Over to you. A quick round of introduction and any questions you have for the crowd now.
Okay, guys. So hi, my name is Shira Simmonds. I'm based in Israel. I'm the CEO of SSC Digital, which is a lead gen agency that has been around for 14 years, though that dates me a little bit. And about a year ago, I pivoted, I would say, and created a new technology called SmartReach AI that enables you to build a super hyper-targeted lead list with buyer behavior signals and deep research, and then create hyper-personalized messaging. What we've done is we've actually integrated our tool with SmartLead. So when it comes to those videos, extra points, if you want to show an amazing story of how you used, SmartReach to build your list, create your messaging, and then you use SmartLead, and we will be happy to give you a prize as well for those video submissions, because it's the marriage of the two platforms is really special. And so today, what I really wanted to talk, Akash, to the team about is really more focusing on the lead list itself, and then how you can complement that with the personalized messaging.
Right.
Because what we found as an agency is that the lead list right now is where people really need to hone in and start, and it's a game changer in the performance of the campaign when they do so. Okay. Right. Again, because we're an agency, we've had the opportunity to really test and learn with our clients over the years. And as we all know, the industry has really changed. I mean, even since the last time you and I spoke. the industry has significantly changed. Like
Absolutely.
long gone are the days of the spray and pray. Long gone are the days of just building the quantity of a list right now. Okay.
Right.
And what I want to show you is something that is so easy to use, but really can make such a difference in your campaign.
Right.
Okay. And we're talking about, we're seeing positive reply rates starting at 40, 50% now.
Mhm.
Our conversion rates have tripled on booking the calls
Wow.
since we started using this method. And
Right.
for me, what's so exciting about it is that I used to have a team of like 120 people,
Mhm.
and the majority of our team members were really, really focused on doing this deep research because we had many, many, many clients, and I'm sure the agencies here can really relate to this pain, that had very niche lists that they needed to focus on.
Mhm.
They need to have very, very specific criteria. It's long gone as just the general ICP, ideal customer profile, right?
Yes.
Now they need to know, are they in this area? Do they have this number of Instagram followers, right? There's a lot, or do they have this number of website visits? There's very specific criteria that companies need in
Mhm.
order for them to know, that they can even sell to them,
Right.
okay? And so what we used to do was have our manual team, that's what we called them, our manual data team,
Mhm.
research each and every website, but also research the internet, research directories, research publications, just do a tremendous amount of research to find that information before we would even contact them. And that would take hours. I remember each SDR that we had, or data representative, was able to do maybe 80 to 100 a day. Okay.
Right.
And that was one person. So I realized at that point, this is just not scalable. The industry is changing. We need to really be able to access this data much quicker.
Absolutely.
And so I built a way to do that. So what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, is now I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. And I have a few slides that I'll just jump into, but then I'm going to actually show you guys very, very specific workflows on how to really do this at scale. Okay. And then how to create messaging around it, and then how to connect it to Smartlead in a click of a button. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Please go
let
for
me
it. Spill the
get
gold. Shira. Spill the gold.
everyone can see it. Okay. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let me start. Switch. Okay. Move this over.
Ma'am, sorry for interrupting. Can you confirm, is this for Cognizant or some other application?
So this is basically an office hour sessions we have. We're going to talk about list building with SmartReach.ai. Maybe you might be in the wrong place, Manas, but it's going to be interesting if you want to stay.
Okay, this is not Cognizant.
Not at all. No.
Okay, the Smart Lead.
Yes.
What is the application support for?
So Smartlead is a cold emailing tool. SmartReach AI is a lead enrichment tool. So we're going to talk about smart ways you can use both of these tools for your cold emailing campaigns.
Even
Okay,
for numbers, this is helpful. Get the
Um,
contact numbers.
Absolutely. I think you should probably stay for a while, and being respectful of all the audience here, I can stay for a while, see if it's
Okay.
relatable. If yes, we'd love for you to continue.
Okay, great. So what I want to start with is just the old way, or the way that I would say many companies are still doing it right now. And I kind of want to show what is being done right now, and what can be done right now. Okay. So the first step is many companies, as I mentioned, are really focused on building lists that are on volume based, right? And so they're just saying, okay, let me define my ICP. It's companies in the US that have 100 employees that are in this industry and this title, right? And so what happens is, and you could see why your reply rates, or your positive reply rates, are not very high, and your conversion rates are very, very low, because you end up building this list of wasted outreach. Okay. That affects your domains, it affects your email deliverability, because you're not having that engagement. So those days are gone. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to really focus on quality versus quantity.
Right.
The second is that a lot of these lists are very generic, meaning these databases everybody's using. I don't know if you guys, all the agencies here, can relate to this. When you get replies that say, where did you get my email address? I'm getting so many emails, and I stopped working at this company 3 months ago, right? That happens all the time, right? Because these lists are not exclusive. Everybody is using them, okay? and they're kind of generic, and they're getting inundated with messages, which also will mean that your open rates will decline, your reply rates and your engagement rates, because they're so inundated with so many messages.
Right.
And then the last one is that a lot of these lists are relying on very static data. Like I said, that ICP, what's their revenue, what's their employee counts. And the most important thing that they're missing are the real buying signals and the timing. The timing is of the essence, okay? Because everybody knows you want to get those buyers when they are in the time frame that they would like to make a purchase, okay? But how do you know that? If you were to just build a regular list using the generic databases, you would have no idea that they really are in the market for that. And this is where intent signals and deep research signals come in, okay? So what do real intent signals look like, and how do we find them? Okay, intent signals really mean that there is a specific behavior that either a company or a person within a company that's a decision maker is showing. Okay, it goes beyond just their contact information, their email address, which of course needs to be valid, right? Or their mobile number if you plan on calling them, or their LinkedIn URL if you plan on connecting to them on LinkedIn. You want to know, with whatever channel you're using, that these potential prospects are ready to buy or actually in the market to buy, okay? And in order to do this, you want to analyze signals. You want to do a little bit more deep research to make sure that you're reaching out to people that are in this and to make a purchase in your space, okay? So I'm going to show you guys quickly how to do that. And I'm also going to really walk you through some real life examples using our tool on how to go about doing that. Okay. And I'm going to do some different flows. So I'm going to first walk you through the different steps on how to do this. And feel free, if anyone would like to share, an industry that they're in, and we can, happy to do a showcase with you if you'd like on what we can do in your space. Okay. Because it's really cool to see how you can apply it in every industry and in every space. And I'll just also share that I'm going to be giving free tokens at the end of this webinar. So, it's worth it to stay on to the end, and I'm going to give you guys a code. It's only going to be available for a few hours. On the $99 plan, I'm going to be giving 1,000 free tokens, okay? Which is a lot. It's about 33% bonus, okay? And everything is token based, so you want those tokens, okay? So the first step is that you want to first have a clear qualification criteria, okay? So that's number one. I'm going to show you how I build that. Again, that goes to me based on your, generic ICP. I call it generic because it's very generic. It's like your industry, your revenue. There's a lot of different, components, your title, etc. So you start with that. That's your base. That what used to be the main is now your base. Okay. It's like the meat in your hamburger, and now you're going to add everything onto that hamburger. Okay. Then you want to figure out, okay, what is the right is best for me? And we get so many users writing to us and say, well, which or Google right now, any question can be, researched right now in really, really quick time. Okay. So, but you need to, the magic is knowing what is that question. And the way that I really like to answer that question is to look back at like your last 5 clients that you closed and really try to find that common denominator. And that common denominator many times is something that you may not have really realized until you do this exercise. I call it kind of peeling back the layers of the onion. So for example, we have a client that is an outsourced development company, okay? And for a long time, we were using the hiring signal, which was great. They're outsourced developers. Let's see who's hiring software engineers. And it worked for a little bit. But then it didn't work as well as it did initially, which happens a lot, guys, right? Which is when you kind of need to stop and say, okay, what's happening in the industry right now? What are we missing? And after talking to them and really doing this exercise of looking at the last 5 clients that they had, what we realized is the real sweet spot for them was when companies were already in the middle of a project and something happens. They needed to hire more developers to finish the timeline. They needed to bring in a special developer. And that was their sweet spot. Okay. So then the question is, okay, so how do you find companies that may be in the middle of an existing project, right? And that's where the questions really can come in of how you drill down to what is going to show us that they are in the middle of a project. Maybe, for example, they just released some code on GitHub, right? That would be a great example. Maybe, for example, they're hiring an engineer and they just released a press release on a new version or product that they're rolling out soon. Maybe they just closed investment. Like there's lots of different ways that you can identify that they are in the middle of a project, okay? And that's what you want to kind of hone into. And then you segment those users, okay, which is very important based on that purchasing signal, okay? And then you're going to continuously test and learn, test and learn, test and learn. And many times what worked for 3 months is going to stop working and you need to pivot, okay? So now I'm going to start going into some of these different workflows with you on our tool, SmartReach AI. So everything that I'm showing you guys, you can go to smartreachai.com. Okay, that's the website. We have a free trial. But again, the tokens that we're going to give you is on the $99 plan. It's very, very inexpensive. Here you could do things really, really at scale. Okay, I'm just moving this over so I can see the question. Okay, so this is a use case for a PR or marketing company, okay, that came to us that really wants to find new potential clients that would be interested in their marketing services and their PR services, okay? And so going back to peeling back the layers of the onion, I'll just go back here. Give me 1 second to get out of this, okay? So I'm going now into SmartReach AI. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to a list that I actually created for you guys already. It's under my criteria. What's great about the criteria is that you could save a very, very large list of all the filters, that you recently created. Okay. And you can have as many as you want. Okay. So I'm going to go to the one that I created called news. And then I'm going to share with you what their basic ICP was, okay, and how we're layering that hamburger on with all the extra deliciousness, okay? So with them, okay, and again, I'm doing a real specific case study, and I'm going to go through a few different workflows for different scenarios, but just to get you guys thinking about how you can use this for yourself, okay? So their main ICP was the US and Canada. Okay, they're targeting specifically companies in IT and software, in manufacturing and business services, employees to 500 employees, okay? And they're specifically targeting the founder, C-level, or president, okay? So this was their campaign before they came to us. They were running this, they were finding the emails, they were finding their LinkedIns, and they were contacting them through regular messaging, and it really wasn't converting for them, okay? So we came in and said, okay, so let's understand, let's again take your last 5 customers. What is something common about them that when you're on the call with them, they were like, yeah, no, that's really a pain we have, right? We really, really need your help with that. And what we came up with was, well, most of the companies that came to them have not had success in the media for the last 12 months. Okay, they have not had a press release. They haven't had any articles written about them. Okay, because once they find that out, they can really close them when they're on the call. So wouldn't it be amazing if rather than just sending to a whole list of people to maybe find that little gem, that small percentage that has not had a press release or an article in the last 12 months, imagine if we only targeted them. Okay, then your reply rate conversion rate will be so much higher. So what you would do is you would run that list. I'm just going to select a bunch of them. And what I'm going to do is go to the question, okay? And the question that I'm asking is, has this company had a press release? I'm going to go to the smart agent. Now, the Smart Agent has some drop-down questions, but you actually can add any question that you want, okay? So I'm asking, has this company had a press release or article in the last 3 years? Include the name of the last article and the date, and I'm going to show you why this is important, okay? So now I'm building a list specifically for people that have not had any real media in the last few years, okay? And I want to know when was their last release and what was the date. Why is that important? Because once I have that information, that's how I'm going to hyper-personalize my email to them, okay? And every single email will be different, okay? So for example, this one just had a release in February of this year. So basically, if they're doing it already, it could mean they're already, have an agency, and that's not the sweet spot for me. But this one only had this specific press release, okay, in 2024. This has not had any, there's nothing to even talk about. This one was 2023. And again, you could see this was their last article, okay? So now imagine that I select only the leads that meet that criteria, okay? And I can send it to the Smart Mail component here, okay? And what it will do is it will pull in all of this data into every single message, and the message will look something like this, okay? Again, you can create it, but this is just what we would suggest. Hi, Lisa, I noticed, whatever your company name, and hasn't had much media buzz recently since your last article titled was published on date, okay? Do you see how I'm hyper-personalizing it now? So it really looks like I did my research on each and every person. I understand. Many brand spaces, again, you can write whatever you want. This is just some suggestions. I'd love to share a few proven strategies to help you attract fresh attention in your industry. This campaign is killing it, okay? Because we've identified that let's only target people that haven't had an article recently, okay, published or any publication. Let's target people that we know meet our ICP, okay? They're in the right industry, right? And let's show them that we've really researched them. We know the name of the article, we know the date of the article. It really out. Responses are like, wow, you guys really did your research here, okay? So that's the first workflow that I wanted to share. And I'm just going to give some different examples of different industries. And again, Akash, feel free to stop me if anyone has questions. I'm happy to address them.
Absolutely. Waiting for you to finish.
Okay, so I'm going to go next. Okay.
Couple of questions on the chat. The first one is, we find all intent signals through various providers in Clay, example, PR, etc. Can you use Google? Was one question. And the next question is, taking a step back, when you searched for the results, can you scroll down or filter results on that page? How many contacts did return for the results you searched for?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So right now, you can, for the Smart Agent, you could do 50 at a time, okay? But that's something that next month, you're going to be able to do as many as you want, okay? If you're just doing the email and the mobile number and their LinkedIn information, you can actually do as many pages as you want, okay? That's something that we're going to be adding very soon for the Smart Agent as well, so that you can do this in very high bulk, okay? And I'm sorry, I didn't understand the first question about Google. Can you just repeat that?
Yeah, I can repeat the question. So I'm not sure if it's related, but we find all intent signals through various providers in Clay. Example for PR, etc. Can you use Google? Yes. Was the question.
Yes, so absolutely. So Smart Agent is very similar to Clayagent. We use the entire internet, okay? So we can do a little bit on LinkedIn. We could even ask, like, what was the last post about on LinkedIn? It will search Google. It will search every directory. It will search the company's website. It will search anything available online. So the answer is yes. And just the difference with Clay, I would just say, is that we are the data provider. So our database, it comes from us. We've integrated with many, many other databases. And it's just very easy to use. It's built for those that don't need to have expert, okay? It's very, very fast. And there's other signals as well. I'll just share that we've integrated one, let's say for the marketing agency or any company, but let's just go back to that marketing agency, is company followers. Okay, this is something Clay does not have. Basically, company followers means you can go to any company, could be a partner. Let's say that you offer marketing for HubSpot and you only want HubSpot. You can find who's following HubSpot. Or let's say you want to find a marketing agency that you compete with. You can actually see who's following them on LinkedIn. Or let's say in the marketing agency is a really big influencer that posts a ton. You can see who's following him or her. Okay, so that's just another type of signal. There's funding, there's hiring, there's followers. Another one is we've also integrated with Ocean, which I love as well. And it's a great signal for most workflows, by the way, which is, okay, who are my existing customers and who looks like them? And Ocean will find companies, it's called lookalikes. Just curious if anyone's using Ocean or lookalikes here. Just, if you guys are, would love to hear your experience with them. We've integrated with them. We're actually doing a webinar with them also at the end of the month. And we find that their data is amazing and probably one of the best. And so you can actually say how matches for them as well. I want only a 98 or 100% match. I only want people that companies, that have X number of employees in a specific department. You can get really, really, really specific. So yeah, everything is on one tool here, okay? And no need to have multiple subscriptions. And that's kind of the difference between us and Clay. But yes, it absolutely does search Google. So now what I'll do is I'll go into the next example. And I think you guys will pretty much get it from these different examples that I'm giving. And I'm just going to go to...
Just picking up a couple of more questions from the chat, because the chat's getting...
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Right. How do you find intent signals for certain ICP? For example, financial services. Is using last article posted valid as a signal for the financial services space?
Yeah. So, this is where you really need to peel back the layer of the onion to find out what are the right signals. So I would start that by first looking at what is the main pain of the customers that you're targeting? What was the main reason that you were able to close them? What was really missing for them? And then you want to ask that question. So it's a very vague and kind of old school in a way to say like financial industry. Like you need to dig deeper now. Like for example, okay, I'll just give one as an example. So we have a client that is offering services or a really cool product for companies that have just, launched a product, but have really low traction on social media and and again, we started this process with them. We asked them, listen, just doing your basic IC, what are going to be the signals that are going to tell us that this company needs us? So for example, have they had a recent product launch announcement? Now that's not going to work for everybody, but for this specific client, it will work because they know that the last 5 that they closed had product announcements. They launched products, but they really didn't get a lot of coverage on it. They didn't have a lot of social media. They're not getting a lot of customer reviews, okay? So I'll show you quickly this question and how we would ask it. So I'm going to go to the recent product launch, okay? One that I saved for you guys, okay? Okay, great. And this is a different ICP, okay? Because this is who they're targeting. They're targeting many different countries, okay? They specifically want to target C-level and vice presidents in the marketing department. And they're very specifically targeting SaaS companies, okay, that have some type of technology, specifically in artificial intelligence, cloud software, computer games, okay? They're smaller company sizes. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of a deeper level. Okay, I'm going to do a bunch here. Okay. And again, you can do it for up to 50 at a time right now. Okay. Has the company announced a new product launch in the past 12 months via press release, company blog? So what is this doing? It's going to search the internet and see press releases, company blogs, LinkedIn, but they really don't have a lot of media coverage. And if so, share the name of their product launch. Why am I doing that again? Anyone know why I would want the name of their product launch?
No
Don't
one
be shy.
narrow
Anyone know
search
why I
code.
would want the name of the product?
247 compliance says to narrow or search the product is why you'd be doing that. Personalized
Not
outreach.
really. Okay. Why? It's because personalization. Exactly. Because now this is a way that you can not only find your great lead that meets your criteria, okay? Because you would be wasting these if they really don't meet your criteria, okay? This one redesigns the version of their core product. This one has a product called En Route. This one has a product called Shopping Genie. Okay, these guys all release products, but don't have really great social media. So now when you go to your messaging, okay, you can say, congratulations on launching your product name. I noticed there's been limited media buzz and online engagement so far. Okay. And again, blah, 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 we can help you. Now that makes a super hyper targeted. Again, it looks like, wow, they knew about my product launch. They've seen that I don't, and you could go deeper, ask more questions as well to get more information, right? Like where was their product launch announced? And you could say like, I read about your product launch in, and you could list the publication, okay? All of this enables you to really imagine sending that at scale. They'll be like, oh, wow, they really found me on, this publication. That's, first of all, that's ego stroking. It makes them feel good, but it also looks like you really did your research. So not only are you building a lead list that really has this pain that they need you, okay, because you know that they need you because they launched a product and they haven't had great coverage. So they really need help. Okay. Now there could be other signals, more signals that you can add as well. I'm happy to hear, really you could think and you could use ChatGPT and other AI tools to search and say, what are the best signals that will show me that they need my service? Don't
Right.
be afraid to do that. Play around with the questions. Okay.
Picking a few more from the chat. Shira, does SmartReach has a bigger database than Clay?
I don't, Clay is an integrator, okay? So they're integrating from all different sources. I can share with you that our main integration partner on the data side is RocketReach, okay? So we have, I don't know, hundreds of millions. If you check how many RocketReach has, we power that. And then we've chosen other providers for the mobile phone numbers that we found to be amazing. So I can't answer. I don't know who Clay is. I think Clay's integrated with Apollo and, a lot of tools. So again, they're the integrator.
Awesome. With Clay, sorry that every question is about Clay, but want to address all of them in the chat. With Clay, it returns results for each contact. With this list, it looks like results are only returned for 6 people, 2 or those being no. Can you please confirm to answer the question, please?
Yeah, because it means that they don't meet the criteria, right? So
100%.
you're asking again. Here we're asking a yes and no question. So we're saying, have they released a publication? And if it says NA or no, it usually means that they haven't, and it's not found.
Awesome. Can you see followers of a company on LinkedIn?
Yes. You can't see them. We can get them for you. Okay. So you would type in the LinkedIn URL. Again, you would also, what's great about this as well is that you would first plug in your hamburger, which is your ICP. Like if you want to get followers from your competitor, but you don't want people working at the company, you don't want their cousins and their sisters, right? You want people following the company that really are your ideal customer. So you would first identify your ideal customer. Okay, I only want companies that have this number of employees, this industry, whatever, with this title, and then we can find those people that are following your competitor.
Awesome. Is it possible to know what's the last post a person posted on LinkedIn and the time that the post was published?
Yep, absolutely. You can ask that to the smart agents. What was the last post posted? And it will give you the topic. And that's a great personalization. Though I think it's getting a little saturated because I'm getting a lot of messages about my posts now. So I think it's getting a little saturated, but that definitely is something because hey, I loved what you wrote about and then whatever the topic is. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I'm not sure if I get the question right, but what is the difference between the personalizations with SmartReach AI and Make.com? Banjo Make is more like a third-party integration tool, Zapier, Wish, Make, etc. But whereas SmartReach is completely on a different vertical. So I think you're a bit confused there. Next one is from
Yeah.
Hector. What's the difference between the intent triggers available through a smart agent and data available from a third-party intent data provider such as Bombora?
Okay, I'm not familiar with I know Bambora for sure. I think the difference is that this is real time, very specific, any question that you ask. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, if other people know Bambora, it works a little bit differently. But Hector, I'm happy to dig into that with you afterwards if you'd like, because I don't want to misspeak. I don't know every tool 100%. What I can share with you is that I don't think Bambora is integrated with Crunchbase, Indeed, Ocean. I'm not sure. Okay, so I would look at that. But again, there's many tools. I'm not saying ours is the only one. Really, the purpose of this is really just to teach you guys how to build the best lead list that you can build and how to then personalize it. And it's all done on one platform.
Absolutely. Last question from my end, Shira. About finding signals for outbound. After defining the ICP, my concern should be to stop and think about what are the issues that indicate a company can benefit from my solution, right? All this before I actually stop to find out what the companies are.
Yeah, so the thing is, like I said, you want to really go back to what would make this company the right match for me, that they may be showing some buyer behavior signal that they would need what I'm offering, right? That's the question. What is that signal? Is it that they're hiring people? So that shows that they're growing, right? Or that they're specifically looking for someone to help them in this area? Is it that they look like a specific client of mine? So I know that they're going to need it, right? Is it that they have released a press release? Is it that they're in the news? Is it that they have X number of similar website visits? You really want to identify what that is so that you can find the best companies, right? So
Right.
that first step is you build ICP, you do your regular ICP, and then on top of that, you add these signals to filter out the companies that are going to have the highest potential to purchase from you.
Thank you so much, Shira. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, great. So I have a few more examples, because I think the more examples, the more I learn, okay, because I'm very visual. And these are like real campaigns that we're running from real clients. I can't share the name, but I could just share with you a little bit about the strategy that we're using. So then we have another client that is offering payment solutions to industries that are considered a high risk transaction, okay? And their sweet spot is really, and this was really difficult when we first started working with them before we had this ability to find, like, are they using Stripe? These are e-commerce companies, okay? So they're online. Most e-commerce companies are using a tool like Stripe to accept credit card payments, but Stripe won't work with you if you're in a high risk category, okay? So like cannabis is an example. And so being able to then log in, build our ICP list, and then say, okay, show me which ones are considered high risk and don't use Stripe. That will then let me know, okay, these companies really are going to need my service, okay? Because I know that they're not able to use Stripe, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to show you that quick list. Right. This is the cannabis list that I built for you guys. Okay, this is a smaller ICP because I just want to know that they're cannabis companies, okay, that they're using Shopify and WooCommerce because these are the tools that the client can integrate with, okay, which shows that they're e-commerce companies. And now I want to go ahead and ask that question. And I really want to understand which of these would be a good target for me, that they're high risk, right? And that they do not use Stripe. okay? Second, guys. Okay, and then again, it's pretty fast. I selected a lot here, but again, you could select up to 50, and hopefully soon we'll have more than that. But imagine now, then you can weed out all of those, right? And I'll show you the messaging that you can add as well. Okay, so here you could see these guys, it's not available if they're using Stripe. These ones are all high risk, but if it means not available, it usually means that they're not using it because they're not able to find it, okay? These guys are high risk and they're not using Stripe, okay? So already what you could do is you can find through this the message that you're going to send them, and I'm curious to hear the messaging that you guys would add. But now, again, we could say something like, we noticed you aren't currently working with Stripe. Many merchants have increased conversions by enabling Visa and MasterCard, but it's hard to get approved in the, cannabis industry. We can help you. We enable over 100 cannabis merchants to accept a Visa and MasterCard, okay? Again, you're hitting the pain, you're showing that you did your research on them. It's a very short mail, okay, but it's very hyper-personalized for each and every one. And again, you can, in the brackets, you can even ask a question, if they're not using Stripe, what are they using, right? And you could plug it in, to the brackets as well, okay? So you can really, really hyper-personalize this message at scale, but focus on companies that have the pain that you can solve, okay? Rather than just doing everyone that meets your criteria that I first showed you, which is what they were doing initially. Okay, and then I have one last example that I'm excited about because this was our campaign that I can really share with you. So for other lead gen agencies, this is a great tip for you. So because we have a SaaS product, as you guys see, but we're also an agency. And so we wanted to weed out, because what we found is that it was the same ICP of customers that were going full service and requiring our full service agency than it was that wanted just to pay the $99 plan. And I don't want my sales team on calls with a 99er, okay? I want them on calls with the larger ones that need the full service. And so it was actually really challenging for us to figure out, because it was exactly the same ICP, 11 to 50 employees, cross industry, specific countries. That ICP was the same. But only when we peeled back the layer of the onion did we realize, wait a second, companies that don't have multiple domains are typically needing our service because they don't know how to do cold outreach, okay? If they're using their main company domain, as you all know, right? Companies that are, for example, using Constant Contact and not using Smartlead, right? But they're using a tool that is more for marketing outreach, right? Is also an indication that they will need us because they don't have their own tool, right? So we're going to set them up on Smartlead. We're going to manage them all for them. And then we know that these are calls that we can send to our sales team. So this campaign is getting us like a 50% positive reply rate, crazy conversions right now, because we're really honing in on companies that don't have the capabilities that they need to do this on their own, okay? The companies that will do this on their own, we're going to drive them to just click and sign up on our outreach. We're not going to drive them to a sales call, right? Because we don't want them. They could just sign up, and we're not going to waste our sales team's energy on this, okay? So I'll just show you now what we did here. Oh, that just happened. Okay, was that me that did that? You're presenting? I got a red squiggly on there. Okay.
Right.
That's okay. Okay, so here I'm building a company, a list of United States business services founder owner. Okay, I can go even deeper, and then I would ask the question: which ones are using Constant Contact? Okay, hold on, I thought I had. Yeah, sorry, I have a constant contact list here. I'll show you. Yes, okay. So actually I built a cool funnel here, okay? So we knew that this was the size of the employee, okay? I also built into my ICP because I have technology here. So I looked for anyone using, again, we could do MailChimp, we could do a lot of these other marketing tools. And I also wanted to add, which we have here, department growth. So I wanted to know that their sales team is growing at least 0 to 25% in the last 6 months, because that is an indication that they're using a tool to send mails. Okay, they're in the right specific employee count. They're growing their sales team. Okay, so then I can go deeper, but here again, we can just go and ask that question. And this is what we're doing. Okay, does this company use X technology and they don't have multiple domains? Okay, constant domains for cold outreach. Okay, and we can ask that question and it would give the answer. And then what I'll show you here is just the email that we wrote. And I'll mention something else that's super cool about this one. The other thing, and again, I could talk about this because this is us, so I can share a lot more with you guys about this. The other thing that we noticed, like you guys were asking, there's a lot of interest in company followers. So when I sat with my sales team and I really analyzed, okay, what is it on the call that most people are like, oh, that's so cool. Where's that, oh, that's so cool moment, right? And what we found was the majority of them were saying, well, they're following competitors. Like, I want that. How do I get that? Okay. So what we decided to do was even in the subject line, create something that was going to grab their attention. And within SmartReach, we were able to plug in get, and we wrote in the brackets, find a direct competitor. Okay. Lead list. Okay. And so that was the hook. And then we said, hey, I noticed your target. And again, we put also in brackets, who is their target audience? Okay. The smart mail system was able to do this on its own and build this list through personalization. So this is what it looked like. I notice your target audience is, and this was in brackets, and the brackets is what then gets hyper personalized. Okay. So every single one is it's gonna research who their target audience is. I was wondering if you use intent signals like, hi, I'm gonna imagine being able to reach out to, okay, this is hyper personalized. So every single company is then getting this very hyper personalized one with their competitor's name listed in the subject line and focusing on the one thing that we know. So what do we now know from this campaign and why is it working so well? Okay. We're booking so many calls through this, guys. It's insane. Why? Number one, because we know that they don't know how to do cold outreach. We didn't ask them, do you know how to do it? We know they don't know how to do cold outreach properly because they don't have multiple domains and they're using constant contact. There's so many other things you can think of to know that they don't know what they're doing. But for us on our discovery call, one of the things we ask them is, what tool are you using? Do you have multiple domains? For us to identify where they are in their life cycle of cold emailing, right? In their knowledge base of cold emailing and how much service they're really going to need. So rather than taking 50 calls, I've been able to reduce my calls to really hyper targeted calls now because I know that they're using constant contact. I know that they don't have multiple domains. And I know that they want their competitors' lead list. So when we get on a sales call now, which we're booking a lot, but it's not just that we're booking, we're closing these guys. And we're closing them for full service because we know they need the full service. Okay. So this is kind of like a secret that I'm sharing with you guys. Yes. I see that there is a hand raised.
But before I go there, there's one question on the chat, which is how are credits consumed on SmartReach, Shira? Every inquiry made costs 1 token per contact. Is that how it works?
Yep. Yep. So you could see here, you'll see it'll show up how many tokens, depending on who you selected. It will tell you how many tokens. Okay. Every hyper personalized mail is a token. And then on the smart signal side, you could see how many tokens. Most are one. The only one that's a little bit more is Ocean, okay, because they're expensive. And so yeah, they're 3 tokens.
Got it. There's no two ways about it. Anyways,
Yeah.
perfect, Shira. This is all that was there in the chat. One question I had, which is the last question from my end, is what are common pitfalls and quick wins for our users? What are common mistakes you see people doing when using intent signals?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the common mistake is the trends that people are jumping on. And what's happening with cold email is that, like I said, they're getting very overused. So for example, things like, hey, I saw that you posted this, right? It's not really speaking to the fact that, okay, great, you saw that I posted it, but why do I need your product? Okay. So I think the mistake is that they're not really trying to think deeper and peel back the layer of the onion to ask the right question of like, what will show me that they need me? The fact that they saw what I posted doesn't mean that they need me, right? So, or that I need them, right?
Absolutely.
When someone writes to me and is like, "Hey, I see that you just hired X number of people, and I see that you just, released a new version of SmartReach. I think I can help you with, converting those free trials to whatever it is." Okay, that would get my attention because that's a pain that I'm focusing on right now, right?
Right. This is super helpful, Sheila. When you told, things have changed from the last time we spoke. It's kind of true. It's a full revolution. But thank you so much for that. And now the floor is open for questions. So people, if you want to ask your questions directly to Shira, you have the React icon in the center. Click on that, raise your hand, turn on your video, and I'll spotlight you. You can shoot your questions directly to Shira. Again, React on the center. Click on React, raise your hand, turn on your video, and we'll spotlight you. We do have a couple of people who've raised their hand. How can you turn on your video, sir, if that's okay? All right, Alka, if you can turn off the lock.
Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yep, loud and clear, sir.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So, basically, I have 2 questions, but I cannot turn on my camera because it's locked by host. I don't know how to turn it on,
All right.
But let's go. I have 2 questions. The first one is, in average, how many contacts have in your outbound campaigns? I've been trying to launch with 1,000, 800, but I don't know if it's too many.
Yeah, I mean
That's the first one.
that could be a question for Akash as well. But no, I think really it depends on how targeted you want to be and really, really deep you want to go, right? The more targeted you can really nail it, the less you need to send. Oh, there you go. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, but that said, we still see that you need volume in cold email. Okay. I think the more important thing is that you want to make sure that your mails and your domains are healthy, that they're landing in the
Right.
inbox, have healthy reply rates. And once you have healthy reply rates and positive reply rates, then you could scale up.
Right. So I can use for free small lists, but I will have sure that it's a good list with well size, right?
Exactly. You want to make sure it's a
Okay.
good list with the right signals. Okay. And we start testing 200, 300, and already from there, we could see if it's going to be a good campaign.
Okay. That's all right. Then I have my second question. I've
Sure.
been focusing on using signals not only to filter companies and contacts, but in the content of my message. But this is kind of hard, because a lot of signals is like filters and there is no data available like Apollo. So should I worry about have this information, or I can just stay happy with the filter?
I didn't fully understand your question. I'm sorry. So, Akash, did you understand that? Maybe you can help me out.
So I think you're talking about the signals being more like a filter. How? Correct me if I'm
Sim, yes.
wrong. And what was the follow-up?
Can you say again?
Yep. Can you? What was the follow-up? You did mention signals are more like filters that you have.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
uh, what is my trouble here? When I try to use signals to personalize my messages, I've been getting limited, because there are a lot of signals that work as filter, but I cannot see the information like headcount growth. I can filter companies that the headcount is growing, but I cannot see the information about how much is growing. So should I worry about does not have this information and just send my messages just on filter,
Yes.
or should I stay worried about to get information?
Yeah. Okay, so that's a really good question, actually, because many times the actual signal itself is not what you want to put in the messaging. Okay, you have to really think about that because it's a signal for you to know, okay, this company is really growing, so then they probably need me, right? But maybe saying
Right.
that is not necessarily the best thing to say, right? You're growing by
Right.
X number. So maybe they recently, fired people and it's not showing that. So sometimes it's better to not mention the actual signal, but just to use it as your way of filtering out the right people. And that's the question is when do you include that information? If you wanted to, you can go into the smart agent and you could say, by what percentage did this company grow in the last 12 months? And it will give you that, and you could plug that into your messaging then. Okay, so it's really a matter of testing and learning and seeing does spelling out that signal depends on what you're offering as well, right? What you're solving, what pain, but does that specifically help you with the personalization and get more calls?
Right. So the last question, I promise. Should I worry about combining signals on my iteration campaigns, or just one maybe work? Like it's like over engineered to combine a lot of signals. You think? What do you think about?
Okay, so that's also a really good question because you can signify them, right? And then you're going to have, and the result of that will be a very small lead list. Okay, so you'll know that if you start whittling down that you only have 10 people that meet your criteria. Okay, but you also, if you have a larger list, that means, wait a second, there are a lot of companies that are showing multiple signals. We combine multiple signals often. Have they closed funding? Are they hiring? But when we start going too deep, we find that we're not finding enough. Then we know that we push too far.
Right, right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Was amazing. Thank you, guys.
Pleasure. Gosh, I think you're on mute.
Akash, you're muted, Akash.
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you, sir. Tad, if you can turn on your video, I'll quickly spotlight you. There you go. Yep, go for it.
Hey, how are you? Hope you
Hi,
can hear
Tam.
me. So I'm very new to this space, and this is a joy to join today. And I'm preparing, though, a webinar or in-person session, I guess you should say. First, I'm doing a free webinar later this month, and then an in-person session in Miami, that's where I live, on the topic of lead generation and prospecting. And as experts in this domain, Shira, I'd love to get your quick, you know, suggestion of what are the key techniques that I should share with all of the attendees? What are the key tools that I should share with attendees? I'm imagining that it's going to be people probably towards the entry level in this general domain, not towards the advanced or intermediate slash advanced level of expertise. So, what would be your suggestion as far as the topics that I cover? I want to make sure people get takeaways that they can implement into their businesses and into their personal brands. So, I don't know if that's a clear enough question, I'll hand it off and end it there.
Yeah, so question back for you. So this is a webinar that you're giving to whom and what is the main topic?
The topic is lead gen and prospecting. That's what I've titled it. And keep in mind, I come from the software development background, so I learn things as I go. I found that's the better way to approach business. So I'm learning as I go. So the
Yeah.
topic that I've given to this webinar is going to be lead gen and prospecting. That's literally what the title of the webinar is.
The attendees, like who's coming to this? What is
So
their
in the
knowledge?
Yeah, so the previous iterations of this webinar, I've actually done 4 this year. We've been focusing on how to leverage AI for social media marketing. So primarily how to leverage AI for generating lots of content. And I've also been teaching some scheduling tools, for example, Metricool. I don't know if you've heard of that. And now the next thing is, okay, everybody's really great at developing all of this social media content that kind of has a clear picture of who their ICP is. And the next level is, okay, how do we tie all that back to revenue and predictable revenue generation, which kind of takes us into the area of lead gen and prospecting. So it's people that are pretty general. It's usually SMB owners. I would say it's a lot of micro SMB owners and people who are solopreneurs. That's the general category. It's a wide swath of different industries. There's people there that are personal trainers, who are business coaches, who do credit, people who own dental clinics. It's a pretty wide swath of different people. I don't know if that's enough information.
I would take kind of the workflows that I just went through, because I think I would kind of just take this webinar, which will be on YouTube. Okay, you can kind of just go through it. And
Mhm.
I would look at, with the people, the attendees, like you always want to make it very focused on the attendees and what's going to really speak to them and challenges that they may have, is to
Mhm.
go through some workflows, of like how you guys, if you are, a dental company, dental company is less focusing on B2B, it's more on B2C, right? So first of all, you want to just identify you're doing marketing or you're doing lead gen, because B2B is lead gen, B2C is marketing. It's a whole different can of worms, right? So if their businesses, what are some of the workflows and case studies that you can kind of talk to? How do they do it from A, B, and C? I'm happy for you to show them SmartReach. I'm happy to give you sign up for the free thing, and you can kind of walk them through how to do like deep questioning. I think that will really, help them a lot.
Great, I appreciate it. So I sent a connection to you on LinkedIn. I don't know if that's the best way to connect. I'll send in a connection to you, Akash, too. I appreciate it so much.
Have a good day, Tan.
No
All the
problem.
best. Last question for the day is from Emiliano. Can you
How
unmute?
are we? How are we doing? Great day.
All good, sir.
Great call. I appreciate the value. Always some value in these smart lead calls. So I'm in the
Hey, how
vending
are you?
machine industry. I'm in the vending machine industry here in Ontario, Canada, Toronto. What happens is we service hospitals, schools, factories, like anything, right? With that being said, when I'm approaching how I'm going to ask some questions to refine the lead list, I mean, I can't really ask a question who's been in the market for a vending machine, who's been, and even if I could do that, the lead list would be small, I assume. What question, like, would you, if you were in my shoes, you're a vending machine in the industry, what would you ask to get a lead list to say, like, to bring me a step closer to finding out who could actually uh action on the service?
Okay, so I have to ask a few questions to get to that.
For
But first
sure.
of all, I'm also from Toronto, Ontario, born and raised. So
Did I hear you were in
a little
Ontario?
bit of
I
a
didn't. I kind of cut out a little bit.
I was born and raised in Toronto, Ontario.
Oh,
So,
that's fantastic. That's great. That's great. Absolutely.
uh, my first question is, okay, you're offering vending machines. Who is your main target? Who are you targeting?
The main target we have between offices, warehouses, colleges, and residential, like manufacturing. And in terms of job title, we contact HR managers, operations managers, procurement managers, and site managers.
And the goal is to get the vending machines in those locations, like in offices, in schools.
The idea is that
Yeah.
one of these people says, yes, we accept, and the vending machine is installed. This is a free
Are
service, by the way, so you don't have to pay it.
Are they typically, do they already have vending machines usually? Do you find that the customers that you close have vending machines already?
I would say maybe 30%, maybe 40% of the locations we close have machines. Most of them are actually from, dare I say it, this big company. You guys probably even seen it, Canteen in the USA. And a lot of them are unhappy with that service. They're a huge company and, they're not really providing. So in terms of do they have a machine already, the ones that even do, it's not a big issue for us.
Well, maybe that's a signal, like, do they have a machine from Canteen? Because you know that they're not happy with that. And then your personalization would be, hey, I see you guys are using Canteen, we can do this and this and this, right? You don't want to put them down. You can just say, a lot of customers that we work with have chosen to work with us because of this, and this. So that could be one signal, is to kind of search
Right.
and see which ones already have a vending machine. And then again, I would also just think back to your last few really positive sales calls, right? What was it about, like, what was a commonality that you can think of with the last few that you were like, okay, they really need us,
Mhm. That makes sense.
you
And
know?
work off of that for sure.
And what I
Okay.
would also do is I would go to, can you hear me okay? I would also go on to ChatGPT or Perplexity, and I would ask directly, I am selling vending machines. Okay. I want to know, and I'm targeting, okay, I'm selling X, I am targeting Y. What are some intent signals that can show me that they need this vending machine, right? Or they would be in the market for this vending. You'll be very surprised. It could be, for example, maybe, oh, actually scraping that competitor that you mentioned, all of their followers would be really good for you. So then you can find all the companies that are following that main company, and you could target them with a very personalized message. That's number one. Maybe going and finding also lookalikes that look like your existing customers, and you could say, we offer vending machines in this universe in McGill, right? And
Mhm.
I think you can really benefit just like McGill, right?
Right,
So there's
right.
a lot of different, those are the ones that I would start with, but then I would also go deeper to ask the research question to really find out, would this universe, like, is there a revenue share in there for them? Like, is there money that they're making from it, from the vending
They could get a
machine?
10% revenue share. Yes, there is
Right.
a 10% profit share, yeah.
So you want to maybe find out, like, are they looking, one question could be, are they looking for new revenue streams, right?
Right.
Are they looking for new ways to generate revenue? Because your
Okay.
offering is great because it's free and they can make money, right? So it's like it's a really good one.
That's right. Thank you so much for the insight. I appreciate the call. And again, from Toronto, so it's cool. It's cool. It's cool to talk to another Torontonian always. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Again, Akash, you're on mute.
Sorry
You're
about that.
on mute.
I just had a comment from someone saying every time you talk, Shira's voice goes down. So I don't want to be the, party pooper here.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But we've exceeded our time. But one last question for Banjo. Banjo, requesting you to keep it simple and small questions, sir, because we're already past the time.
Yeah, no worries. I have a question. How do you make, offers with little totally addressable market work? Where like the market, you don't have, obviously there are not like hundreds of thousands of people within the market, but you still want to reach out to them and book an appointment with them. What we found is like a lot of times everybody's eating these people up specifically, because they are really, really small, like 20,000, 40,000. So how do we really make it work, or what are some ways to kind of like increase the amount of people to reach out to in that market?
So I think that just really summarizes the presentation that I gave today. And maybe you want to go back on the YouTube once it's launched. And I know that Akash will send it out as well on the Slack. But it's really about finding something that will show you that they are in the market for what you're offering, and then personalizing that message so it really stands out to them, that shows that you did your research on them, that you can really help them with the pain that they have. And unless I know your specific use case, I that's as deep as I could go right now. But the tip that I just gave the other gentleman in terms of what to plug into ChatGPT to find out what your intent signals should be, you can use as well. We do X, we're targeting Y. What are some intents, and we can help them with this. What are some signals that would help us? But going to the competitor followers is always the best one. People followers we're finding was an influencer in the space that they may be following. And then doing that deep research question.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Shira. Thank you, Banjo. Shira, anything else before I call off the closing statement?
Yes, I will just share that for those that want to start using this and going deep, you can sign up for our promotion. That's just for Smartlead customers right now. That's if you sign up for the $99 plan and you use the code SmartLead1000, you'll get a 33% bonus, which is 1,000 more tokens, which is amazing, amazing data and personalization that you can get. So yeah.
Thank you for that,
Definitely
Shira. And the code is SmartLead1000, if I'm not wrong, right?
SmartLead1000, yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shira. Initially you told things have changed. I didn't hope it has changed this much. But thank you so much for always spilling this gold. We hope to see you another time with a different hat and with new insights. And
Absolutely. I'm just going to type the code here. Someone just asked for it. SmartLead1000.
And while you do that, the Smartlead Showcase series is out, Smartlead users. It's a fresh way for our community to share real wins, what's working, or cold email strategies. As you know, the whole power of the community is to grow together and smarter and faster. So we have the link on the chat. Record a video of what's working well for you on Smartlead. It could be a recent win you're proud of, a strategy that's crushing for you, or a workflow that saves a lot of time. We want to feature this. We want to post it out everywhere. So the link is on the chat. But as I always say, thank you, Shira. 3 consistent things in life: death, taxes, and office hours every Thursday. See you all on the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.